So Stephen Pressfield has a book, The War of Art, that was recommended to me, and I love it. He has this concept of resistance. And the idea is that there's this kind of like thing going on in the background that is constantly tugging at you and pulling you away from your destiny, pulling you away from who you are meant to be. He calls it resistance. And he's like, how many times have you wanted to be a mother, wanted to be a doctor, wanted to be a writer, a painter, all sorts of different things that you could want to be, but then you choose to allow resistance, you choose to allow this background thing to limit you and stop you from being who you truly are, being who you were meant to be. I've heard this in other self-help books and things. They call it walls, or they call it ego. In Stephen Pressfield's book, he calls it evil, or even Satan. That it is evil to not be who you truly are. I love that, because I like to think when I, it's easy for me to rationalize or justify that I'm doing enough. I'm doing more than so and so, or I'm doing fairly well for a 37-year-old. And that's the resistance talking. That's not me talking. That's the resistance saying, "Oh, you don't need to try harder. You don't need to be more efficient. You don't need to be a better father. You don't need to do this. You're good enough." And that's the resistance pulling you back, grabbing onto you and holding you down. And in reality, the resistance doesn't hold you down. I hold myself down. The only thing that stops me from growth is me. The only thing that stops me from, when I have this thought of, oh, I should start this business, or I should work on this part of my business, or I should pay attention to these things. The only thing that stops me from doing that is me. And so the only thing that can overcome resistance is me. And I believe that is my point in life of why I've become entrepreneurial, even though I didn't have these particular words to express it at the time, but is I want to be able to have the flexibility to not give into any resistance at any time. If I have a boss that has claim over my time, that's a form of resistance. That's someone else that I have to listen to that isn't God, right? Like, how can God be first if I have to show up to a 9-to-5 job and listen to what this other person is telling me to do? Literally, God can't be first in that situation, because I'm listening to this other person. But if I'm free with my time, I can pray and I can ask God, where would you want me to be today? What would you have me do right now? What would you have me do at any point in time? That's freedom. That's the ability to overcome resistance. Okay, go take your family and experience these different cultures and assist your sister in getting ready for her wedding. Okay, let's do it. There's nobody that tells me that I can't do that. Now, while I'm here, could I put God first and say, God, where would you have me go to church tomorrow? God, how can I be a better friend and family member to those here in Australia? God, what can I do to assist my family back at home? God, how can I be a tool in your hands to assist others in growing closer to you? These are things that anyone can do, whether you work a 9-to-5 or not. But for me, I know that God has a lot for me to do, and my ability to be free with my time is paramount. It is very important. And so that's what I'll continue to do is, as I've started business and as I've started my own walk in life, that's always been my goal, is how do I make enough money so that I can have more time for my God, my family, and my community. Just remember, you won't love it unless you live it.